well, Republican strategist Alex Zdan and Democratic strategist Mike Nellis. Always a pleasure, gentlemen. We know that on his first full day as a newly elected speaker, Mike Johnson told congressional Republicans that Trump wants one big reconciliation package. Alex, let me start with you. Talk to us about the challenges of getting one big policy bill approved. That's a lot to maneuver.
Well, sure. Obviously, getting big things done in a Washington that's very polarized is very difficult. But the one upside of that is that you just need to take one series of votes to get that done. I think Speaker Mike Johnson is the man for the job. President Trump has a lot of agenda items coming into office on January 20th, the border, taxes, energy. And I think it's a smart move to try and get them all put together. Obviously, there's a lot of back and forth in Washington. This could change, but I think that this is a promising start because this is a new administration in its second term that wants to do big things.
Alex, let me stick with you. We know Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy will be overseeing government efficiency, DOGE. But when I hear one big bill, the first thing that comes to mind is pork barrel spending.
Well, that's unfortunate, Hannah. That's the way that Washington has been run for decades, if not more than 2 centuries. And I think that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will be watchdogs on this reconciliation package and all others to call out the waste, to call out the fat. I hope that they are involved in making their disagreements, if there are any known, and policing Washington, because Washington has had pigs at the trough for far too long.
Mike, your thoughts. Will Republicans be able to get this bill passed without help from Democrats?
Well, I think they're going to have a tough time getting anything passed when they have a 3-seat majority in the House right now. But let's talk about pork barrel spending for a second. Like Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, they're not going to be policing anything. The DOGE committee exists to help them deregulate their own businesses, to advance the special interests for Republicans and their big money donors. That's all that's going to be about. So as much as they talk about cutting spending, they talk about, protecting the American people's money and cutting costs for American people, it's really going to be about enriching themselves. It's going to be enriching billionaires like Donald Trump. It's going to be enriching billionaires like Elon Musk. And I think he's put something like, more than a dozen billionaires inside of his cabinet. So we know who Republicans are going to be working for because of who they're elevating inside their own party. And it's going to be hard for them to get anything passed. But if they put together a big, giant reconciliation bill with a thin majority in the Republican Congress, they're going to have to make a lot of little tiny deals, and it's going to be a lot of pork barrel spending. It's going to be a lot of wasted money, all the things that Donald Trump and Republicans said they were going to fight against, that they were going to stop. But that's the only way they're going to be able to govern. Elon and Vivek are not going to stop that.
All right, let's move on, guys. Alex, Republicans have major divisions to bridge on tax strategy. Border and energy are viewed as sweeteners to help wrangle these GOP votes. What are the challenges here?
Well, it's always a challenge when you have a 3 or 4 seat majority, especially with some folks leaving to join the administration. I'm not going to deny that. In the Senate, though, the majority is a little bit more comfortable. 53 seats, you can get a lot done. But obviously, this is going to be a matter of working within the caucus, of having Speaker Johnson engage with his members, which he's already doing, engage with the incoming president, President Trump, and President Trump's team to make something that works for the American people. And I think that the good thing about the team that we have coming in right now, President Trump and Speaker Johnson just retaking the gavel, is that they are aligned, that this is about delivering for the American people, for regular folks, for blue-collar people. The election results, both sides agree, are decisive and clear. Americans want prices to go down. They want chaos at the border and on the streets to end. And Congress and President Trump are going to deliver.
Mike, do you want to weigh in here?
Yeah, the problem is, how are they going to deliver with a razor-thin majority? The Republicans are, to me right now, they're kind of like the dog that caught the car. They don't know what to do. And we have all this drama last week and backroom deals trying to install Mike Johnson for another term as Speaker. And now there's a real question of the big promises that they've made. They were going to get housing prices down. They were going to make groceries more affordable. They're going to deal with the crisis at the border. How are they going to do that with small majorities in the House and the Senate? How are they going to do that while also cutting government spending and cutting government regulations? And then you have an additional problem on top of that, which is Donald Trump ran on a vision of America that doesn't really exist, and ran against policies that don't exist. For example, like we mentioned, some of the sweeteners for executive actions on energy deals, right? Donald Trump is planning an executive action to get rid of an EV car mandate that doesn't exist. And so there's going to be a lot of that where they're in charge now and they have to deal with the reality of the situation in Washington. And they're going to try to reverse all the progress that Joe Biden and the Democrats have made over the last couple of years. But they're going to have a tough time governing, and they're going to have a tough time living up to the promises that they've made to the American people.
Alex, Monday marks the 4-year anniversary of the January 6th attack on Capitol Hill. Speaker Johnson has said he will investigate the January 6th committee. That, of course, included Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, Jamie Raskin. That's just to name a few. Your take?
Well, I think if you look at the pictures that you've been showing from the Capitol, the legacy of January 6th is unfortunately written in the barbed wire and chain link fence that are lining the Capitol right now. But if you look at the election results again, it was about food prices. It was about the border. It was about crime. It was not about January 6th. It was not a referendum on that day. I think a lot of Americans have essentially moved on. We had televised hearings that were conducted by the January 6th committee that appeared to be more of a pageant than an honest-to-goodness search for truth. It was a day of disarray. It was a day of chaos. It was an unacceptable move to have people storm the Capitol. But I think a lot of people, a lot of voters have moved on and are looking to the future.
I mean, if they've moved on, why have this investigation at all? Mike, final word.
Yeah, I mean, I think the worst instinct of the political and media class is to act like winning erases all your sins, as if you just went to confession with a Catholic priest. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. January 6th is one of Donald Trump's greatest sins. All right. And I think we need to really stay and focus on that. The investigation was important. Donald Trump is planning on pardoning, all the January 6 rioters, something he promised throughout the whole thing. So yes, the American people made a decision in this election based on inflation and prices and housing and the border and things like that. But the legacy of January 6th doesn't go away. People died. It was disruptive and hurtful to our democracy. It was embarrassing on the national stage. We can't give this up. We have to continue to honor this because we need a peaceful transfer of power. And I'm very glad that tomorrow, when we have this process that plays out, we're not worried about, mass protests. We're not worried about riots. We're not worried about Kamala Harris hosting a rally or anything like that.
Yeah, I think both sides can agree on that. Alex and Mike, really appreciate you joining us this weekend today. Thank you again.